If you ever needed evidence of just how the powers that be have nothing but utter contempt for teachers and the teaching profession, the fact that these two are getting peerages, two people I think have had the biggest detrimental impact on the job I love, the profession I care so passionately about, it honestly is beggars belief. Now, when the news broke about Spielman getting a peerage, I made a video just outlining how it's such a kick in the teeth when she was head of Ofsted, who were found guilty in a coroner's report to have contributed to the death of the head teacher, Ruth Perry. You know, the fact that she never took accountability, she never recognised Ofsted's role in the death of Ruth Perry, just always felt that they did no wrong. But also everything else that happened, how they introduced this inspection framework with the deep dives that has done nothing to improve any outcomes for students really, but has made teachers' lives so much harder because our workload has gone through the roof exponentially. I think you'd be very hard pressed to find any teacher, now I'm not talking about CEOs, academy trust leaders who clearly have benefited massively financially thanks to Gove's policies. No, I'm just talking about your run-of-the-mill classroom teacher or support staff member who's been teaching for more than 12, 15 years, and I know there's not many of us who would genuinely agree that Gove's legacy on education is a positive one. Despite Michael Gove being the longest serving education secretary of the previous government, which is such a brilliant achievement, isn't it? It's such a low bar that when we were having new education secretaries every week, it seemed. Sunak said, as education secretary, introduced changes to the school system which has resulted in sustained improvement in performance in world rankings in literacy, maths and science. But doesn't really mention the negative impact Gove had. One of the first things Michael Gove did when he was education secretary was get rid of the Building Schools for Future programme, which led to the whole RAC crisis, where at least 11 schools that had waste of money rebuild scrapped by Gove has now closed because of RAC. You can talk about how we've become higher in the rankings with literacy and numeracy, but we're also top of the charts when it comes to children being the unhappiest in Europe. And I'm sure Gove will take full credit that his curriculum changes have led to us moving higher in the world rankings for literacy, but we're also faced with a situation now where fewer children are reading for pleasure than ever before. And I'm not saying this is purely down to those curriculum changes, but I definitely don't think they've helped. The fact that children are sitting more tests than ever before, the amount of pressure on schools to get kids through things like SATs tests, phonics screening tests, has narrowed the curriculum, meaning that, yeah, it is a big contributor to why children aren't reading for pleasure as much as they used to. If we take both of them, so Amanda Spielman and her time as Ofsted leader and the impact Ofsted have had on the workload issues and scrutiny and pressure on teachers, but also Gove, because I think Gove was really the first person who started to chip away and erode the professionalism and the respect and started undermining the profession massively and really gaslight them, which then bled into the media and public opinion, which has just led to where we are now, where we're faced with the biggest retention crisis. We can't bring any teachers into the profession and no one's really staying. 40,000 teachers left the profession last year. That's the second year running. The retention crisis is costing taxpayers $1 billion a year. We are in a situation now where there are more qualified teachers working outside of education than working in it. Teacher vacancy rates are at a record high in England. Whether directly or indirectly, these two, I feel, have had the biggest impact on why we're in that situation now with the retention crisis. And who's losing out the most? The students. I just don't feel children are getting the education they deserve because of the chronic underfunding of our education system, which started when he was in charge, plus the scrutiny, pressure put on schools, put on teachers, put on school leaders when she was in charge of Ofsted, which now still continues, where we're at a point now where our education system is just about hanging on, mainly down to the hard work, dedication and goodwill of good people. Not these sort of people, but the teachers, school staff going above and beyond day in, day out. And rather than those being awarded, it's these people who are getting the peerages. It's a real sad state of affairs, isn't it?